Welcome to Red Zone Sports Thanksgiving special. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Jim's already yelling at the dog or the cat or one of them over there.
The dog.
He's yelling at something.
Good start to the festivities.
Welcome to the family. Thanksgiving time, baby. Yell at somebody.
I love
All
it.
right, quick 3-game slate.
Three-banger.
Jim, do you have like a quick chalk review of what we're going to get? My guess is Dallas pretty heavy is what we're going to see.
Let me filter everything here. Yes, Dallas extremely heavy.
Okay.
Charbonnet 50%. McCaffrey 45. AJ Dillon 44.
All right, let me make a bold prediction here. I'll have 0 AJ Dillon tomorrow.
Yeah, and probably 0 Charbonnet.
Yeah, I love that.
At least Charbonnet is somewhat of a talented player. We have such a large sample size that AJ Dillon has the slowest feet in the NFL.
He's very bad.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever done a ladder drill in his life.
I bet you could take a straw poll of a random guard in the NFL that would have better feet through the hole than AJ Dillon in the NFL.
Oh, easy.
Oh, every nose tackle in the league. Every nose tackle in the league has better footwork.
Totally.
I think if you asked AJ Dillon to pull more than 2 gaps, he might just run over his own feet when he tried to change direction again.
It's truly amazing how the Packers are still just running them out there. Right. But anyway, all right. So kind of what we predict. What's CD going to be?
45.
Okay. So him and McCaffrey are going to be highly owned, but kind of rightfully so, we think.
Yeah. I mean, I would, I think it's there's lots of value that's opened up. So I think it's easy to get those 2 guys in there, which is why you see the ownership drifting the way it is.
Right.
There's definitely some surprises, though, when it comes to guys that look really good that apparently nobody wants to play.
All right, hit me with them.
So, I mean, well, for one, starting at quarterback, nobody wants to play Sam Howell. And, I get that he's playing the Dallas defense, but on a slate where there's only 3 games and you've got a guy he's averaging 42 pass attempts per game at $6,200
from behind.
Constantly. His stacking options are really cheap. It just blows me away that he's only 8% owned. I mean, I quite frankly just don't get it.
Well, let's just start with him. I mean, the one reason I have a little bit of interest with him is he's gonna just chuck the ball no matter who he plays against, and we've seen him against tough matchups. They're gonna lose, but we've seen him go toe to toe with the Eagles a few times this year. He's had some tough matchups, and he still throws the ball 40, 50 times.
And look, he might get sacked 8 times this game. That doesn't hurt his fantasy value.
No, I think you can play Sam Howell with the Cowboys defense.
Yeah. It's a way to get interesting. For sure. That's a unique lineup.
The one challenge I have with Howell is his receiving core is just a disaster. I called it last week and it just has not happened. It didn't happen, but I mean, Scary Terry, it's not clicking this year with Howell. Freaking Curtis Samuel's jumping into fights, trying to get kicked out of games. Dotson's super inconsistent.
Oh, I'm playing Terry though this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I think Dallas is so hell-bent on just getting pick sixes and being flashy that they're going to give up at least one big play to Scary Terry tomorrow.
There's an opportunity there for sure.
I'm definitely doing a player proper Scary Terry scores a touchdown tomorrow.
So I guess going back up to top, I think we could all say we have interest in Dak, right?
Yeah, I'm playing 3. I mean, the 2 quarterbacks I have the most interest is Purdy, Dak, and then it's split between Howell and Jordan Love.
Okay.
Those are the 4. Those are the 4 quarterbacks I'm playing. I'm playing 2 lineups each with Dak and Purdy, and then I'm playing 1 lineup with Howell and 1 lineup with Love.
Okay. Yeah, I think we're pretty similar. I'm about 40% Dak, 40% Purdy, and then 20% I'm going to sprinkle in some Howell Love. So, yeah, I think we're pretty similar in terms of quarterback. Joe, are you any different there?
No, not really. I really like Hal. I love that he's 8%. I feel like this is kind of like showdown territory, right? With 3-game slate, nice and small. You need to get different, right? So you don't tie with 18 people in first place, even if you do take it, right? You kind of want to be, you got to be different. And I think as an 8% quarterback and a person that's going to be playing from behind, I mean, Sam Howell is the obvious one. I feel like this is like the most lopsided Thanksgiving we've ever seen. Like every single spread is more than a touchdown. Like there's going to be some whompings, but for fantasy wise, you need to find the other side of those whompings of that quarterback that's going to throw 45 passes.
Yeah.
Right. It's all coming in the second half, and that's what's going to get you a win here. So
not to go all
Sam Howell's in that perfect position.
I think you're right. And not to go on like soapbox or, homerism here, but like, it's just a truly amazing that Howell is $100 more than Purdy. Like that's the one thing I have the challenge with. It's not a lot, obviously they're right there, but it's like, on this slate, based on recent weeks, like, shouldn't Purdy be like 6,500? You know what I mean? Like over these guys, but he's just not. So I agree with you guys.
But so should Howell. Like he's leading the league in passing yards. Like, yeah, he throws interceptions and he gets sacked a lot. But again, that's done a huge damage to his fantasy value.
Right. We're playing fantasy football.
Passing yards in the league, right? So it's like
exactly.
Sam Howell in Dallas is so prone to giving up big plays. And the idea is that Dallas is going to be ahead early. Right. Yeah. The enemy is not shy about just throwing the ball every freaking play. So
right.
I just think the obvious play is like you got to run Howell in multiple lineups, especially at that ownership.
Yeah. So I think we're all on the same page. I'm not playing any Goff. I'm not playing any Geno. And that's that. Makes it pretty simple.
Geno might not even make it through the game, right? Like he had to come out of the last game. He's going to have a massive pass rush, right? Like obviously any quarterback is one hit away. But Geno hasn't even like practiced this week, going to a short week. Like he fucked up his elbow. Like there's a chance he's just making bad passes left and right. And it's not like he's been Mr. Precision this season.
Right.
So I'm staying 100% away from Geno Smith. I'm staying 100% away from Jordan Love. And I'm a little bit fearful of that because the Lions defense is definitely an open sore. But Jordan Love sucks. And I know he showed some people some stuff last week. Like, oh, look what Jordan Love can do. Right. But it's like, no, like Jordan Love's not good. And he's got a really young committee around him, and you got AJ Dillon at running back. Like,
I think the price is right. I think you just have to think of it from this perspective. They're not going to be able to run the ball with AJ Dillon. Love's going to throw the ball a lot. We talked about volume. He's 5,500. So you're not paying a premium. Weapons are cheap. Like the spot, he allows you to fit in some studs. You know what I mean?
I just feel like I just don't like playing bad players. Right. And he did play the Chargers last week. Like, I mean, we all know the Chargers are the biggest frauds in the last like 25 years of NFL football. So, and he was at home. He's going to Detroit, and like Detroit Lions' most important game in like Thanksgiving history. Here, they're actually a contending team and have an opportunity to just fucking destroy an in-division team at home. Like, I have a feeling that Jordan Love this is that moment where the entire country and Packers Nation just turns on him and goes, okay, this project's not working.
I can see
it. For all Joe's hatred of Love, I am playing him.
He's boned me. So. He's boned me a few times early in the season. So
I have some
of no coming back from that.
I don't. Well, so. I'm not disagreeing with anything that you're saying, Joe. It's a pure. This is a 3-game slate.
It's a 3-banger. Yeah.
And fair. he is the lowest owned quarterback on the slate. He's also the cheapest quarterback on the slate.
Yeah.
So at 5% at 5,500, it allows me to jam in some of the other guys that I want. I'm only playing him in one lineup, but I think it's worth playing him. And for what it's worth, I'm playing him in the room that I'm in that has the most amount of entries in it. So it's still a single entry, but it's 10,000 entries. So that makes sense. That's really my only reason for that. Okay. On to running back.
Let's do it. All right.
And here's the biggest surprise of the entire fucking slate. It's the fact that Jahmyr Gibbs is showing up in the optimal 32% of the time, yet he's only 18% owned.
Good.
How is that possible?
I don't know why people are choosing to play Tony Pollard over him. And I don't know why people are choosing to play. I get now there's a pricing here with AJ Dillon and Charbonnet, but nobody else. on a normal slate, 18 to 19% is high owned. On a 3-game slate, not even close. Like, I die for those numbers in Showdown, right?
Well, I think if you look at it too, right? Like, look at his output, right? 26, 32, 27 points. He has similar upside as Lamb, Amon-Ra, all these guys for way cheaper and way less ownership.
He's slowly taking over the snap share too from David Montgomery. Yes, David Montgomery got a goal line touchdown. Yes, it's never going to be a full 100%. But look, if you want to get weird, you play both of them in the same lineup together. If you think that Green Bay sucks that bad, I'll tell you what. I mean, I don't understand why Montgomery is like 13% more owned than Gibbs is. But like, if you play both of them together, I guarantee you not a lot of people are going to be doing that. So like, you could just kind of go on your way from there. So he's one of my favorite running backs on the slate. He's not my favorite, but he's definitely one of my favorites. Who do you guys like? I don't know. Who's your one favorite running back? Obviously, I think McCaffrey. I mean, look, McCaffrey showing up in the optimal lineup 55% of the time. Bro, so even at 45%,
700. What?
He's too cheap. He's $300. He's
$500 less than normal.
I'll be honest, man. I'm trying to in many lineups as possible. I have 8 of them built right now, and I would say at least 5 of them have McCaffrey, Gibbs, and Montgomery. All 3 of them. I'm just jamming all 3 in. And I'll just play, I'll play the odds at the receiver game, right? Which is much more, there's much more fluctuation. We've seen CD obviously hit 40 and break the slate, but I can roll the dice and say, you know what, Dallas can smoke these guys, and CD has 17, and I survive, right? And it's like whatever.
All right.
So I think all 3 of those guys are my favorite. I mean, I'm playing those 3 consistently.
Good.
A little Charbonnet. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, no, I've been on him the last 2 weeks and it's paid off. It's Brian Robinson.
Yes, that's my guy, Joe.
Yeah, they're involving him obviously in the run game. He's been involved all year in the run game. He is now involved in the pass game, where he has 7 catches last week, 6 catches the week before. When this dude gets in open space, I mean, he can absolutely bust. Like, Brian Robinson actually gives me a lot of Kenneth Walker like vibes. Kind of the way they run, their body types, kind of everything. And again, Brian Robinson, if he's in the game, Gibson's out, which Gibson's really not even part of the offense anymore, even when he's healthy. And if we think Washington's going to be down, that passing upside with Brian Robinson with Sam Howell in a lineup just makes too much sense. And he's 5,900. It's perfect.
If Gibson misses, you can play Robinson in that line.
I don't even care if Gibson misses.
I don't either. I've got all my lineups built already, and I've got 80% Robinson.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
No, because Gibson, Vinny, like, they've been weeding him out. Bieniemy does not like him. He was starting to get weeded out last year. He's more of a special teams player that gets like a couple carries a game when Robinson needs a spill, right? So
he drops the ball too much. Gibson does.
Okay.
Yeah, he was the guy for like 6 weeks 3 years ago, and now I think it's stuck in our heads that he's still a part of it, and he's really not. It's Brian Robinson.
Well, he used to be the passing down back in that game or on that team back when they were the Redskins. So no more Redskins, no more Gibson. So that's. I mean, it just to highlight this here again. AJ Dillon. 44% owned, showing up in the optimal lineup only 12% of the time.
I don't even know how it's that high. I really don't.
Because people just see the out sticker and then they go to the cheap backup. Like they do, like we did with like Singletary, right? But that makes sense when you're in a big slate, when you're in a 3-bang like this.
So you want the cheap back to play. If you need a cheap back to play from Green Bay, is Patrick Taylor. You might say, who the fuck is Patrick Taylor? Well, he's literally the only other person that is going to be wearing a Green Bay jersey, playing actual like a volume of snaps. You know, we're talking about 4% owned. I have some Patrick Taylor, right? He's just like the $200 and $400 guy on a showdown lineup, right? He's just a throwaway. He's somebody who's going to be getting actual snaps, who's not getting any ownership. That's my cheap punt play. I think Patrick Taylor might be the best punt play on the whole slate, based on ownership and kind of everything. So,
okay,
tight end, or I'm sorry, wide receiver. Unless you get somebody else.
No, I mean, let's just start up top, right? Like CD and Amon-Ra. I mean, I think both guys are still really good plays, right?
Yep.
Like, I don't think you have to like fight over it too much. CD's going to be higher owned than the Sun God, but I'm just leaning more running game in that Detroit game. So Sun God beats me. I'll have him in a stack or two, but it's going to be CD or I'm dropping down for me.
Yeah, I'm playing a fair amount of St. Brown. That you can't ignore the volume that he gets.
So you're fading CD then in those lineups? There's no way you can get St. Brown, Lamb, and McCaffrey.
No, I don't have to play them all in the same lineup.
No, okay, but that's what I'm saying. So, like, in those lineups, though, like, you're kind of having to pick. You can play two of the three, basically. Is, like, pretty easily to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I mean, you could play more, but, I mean, I prefer.
It's pretty hard to get those three in the lineup, unless you go Jordan Love.
Yes.
Which
correct.
Maybe is possible, but I don't know. I've not tried that yet.
You could do it. It's not super easy, but I actually think it's more viable, and I actually just kind of like getting there anyway. But
yeah, I have some reasons I'm not doing that, and we'll get to that the next position. But
that's fine.
Ayuk for me, I think it's a good play. I'm playing about 50 to 60% Debo on this slate. For whatever reason, he just absolutely kicks Seattle's ass every time he plays them. I don't know what it is, but there's something there. The guy scores multiple touchdowns almost every time he plays them.
Well, if you look at Shanahan's play calling tendencies on the road as well, he definitely favors being a little bit more conservative with the throws, right? So he's going to have the majority of Brock's throws be around the line of scrimmage to like 15 yards, right? And that's where guys like Kittle, that's where guys like Debo really excel. I mean, McCaffrey, obviously, right? But yeah, I mean, you kind of took me to the overstack of the Niners passing game lineup, which I actually really like, and I played that with both of the Detroit running backs coming back. So it's definitely a very unique lineup. You could definitely do that. But I think, if we're talking about price adjusted stuff here at Debo at 5,900, he's not the consistent fantasy player that he once was, but he will have one or two of those spike games, just like Kittle will have one or two spike games a year. And I definitely think that you're right. I think this could be one.
Yeah.
Joe,
so
who do you like here?
Who
do you like here in the like 7,000 to 5,000 range the best, Joey?
I love the Debo call. Debo, and it's not just Seattle, Vinny. It's all division games. I feel like Debo just thrives in the rivalry. You know what I mean? Like when that game is like more of and it's not like a high stakes game, right? It's just there's a rivalry game. Like I feel like Debo is just one of those players that just steps up to another level, right? He tends to talk a lot of shit and build up these things. So I really, really like Debo. Washington, right? Pick him. McLaurin's my favorite. I just feel like he's due for a breakout game at some point. I have a feeling he has 2 touchdowns in him, especially in garbage time. He's the deep ball threat where the Cowboys just are in love with the pick six, right? And it's like they're going to put themselves in a bad spot every once in a while. So it's between Debo and McLaurin in this range. I'm not against playing any Seattle receiver. I feel like the only vulnerability in the Niners' whole defense is like the deep ball. So I feel like there is like 1 or 2 plays that could happen where like DK gets a deep one. I can see DK getting a deep touchdown.
I'm definitely taking shots on both Lockett and DK here. We saw Mike Evans. Even the Niners blew out Tampa last week, and Baker's about the same player as Geno. Mike Evans had his way with some of the corners. Like DK is just guy's a goddamn mutant out there. So I'm taking some shots on those guys to get different. I'm sure they're going to be pretty low owned, right?
I think everyone has that notion that, okay, San Francisco's defense is scary, which, yes, they are very scary, right? But the one thing that's not scary is the deep ball, and then you get rid of someone like Haufunga, right? Like, how does that change the defense? How does that change the secondary? We don't know. Yeah. So to have a 3-banger, like, I'm definitely taking some shots on those guys.
It's a good point.
It's interesting you bring up the ownership because Ayuk is projected about 27%, and then Metcalf, Lockett, and Debo and McLaurin, all like in going down there, are all projected right around 25%.
That's still pretty low on a 3-game slate, though.
It is
for
but
number one or guys.
That brings us to 2 guys here at 5,000 and at 4,500. Romeo Dobbs coming in at 11% owned. Okay. And Brandon Cooks coming in at 12% owned.
Okay, let me just tell you right now, Brandon Cooks right now is my highest owned player on the slate. So that's good to know. I have him in 62%
I've been on the Cooks train all year, just waiting for it to break loose.
He's showing up in the optimal 25% of the time. He is the highest positively leveraged wide receiver on the entire slate.
Perfect. If he scores a 50-yard touchdown or more, I'll headbutt Grandma tomorrow and live stream it on Thanksgiving. So
wow,
that's good to know. Yeah. I was a little nervous about the Cooks thing, but now I'm all in. I'm going to finish them off with all my lineups.
Okay, going down.
Grandma definitely listens to our podcast, dude.
Grandma's
then she'll be ready for the headbutt when she sees Brandon Cooks. Jaden Reed, shout out Bonnie. Jaden Reed is one of my personal favorites for the price he's at. He's highly involved in that offense. It's part of the reason why I like the Love stack so much, because you stack him, he's the cheapest quarterback, with Reed and with Dobbs, and you can just literally play whoever the hell else you want to, right? You can put Cooks in that lineup, and then now you're just playing whoever you want to. I definitely have some of JSN just because of where, honestly, the money that I was left over with, and I kind of wanted a piece. I'm not a big fan of him with both DK and Lockett healthy. Now, I am banking on the fact that one, DK is not 100% healthy. He's had some issues, right? And then number 2, if the Niners start blowing them out, and the Niners get up a significant amount, they're going to rest DK and they're going to rest Lockett. JSN will play the entire game. So you have to take some risks, in my opinion, on a 3-game slate, and JSN is going to be kind of my risk that I'm taking here.
I do think, you hit it, but like for a guy, I said it the last couple of weeks, but for 4,100, he's getting like 7 targets a game, right? Which is fine. Totally fine for me. You know what I mean, for that price tag.
Yeah. So what's Jameson Williams' ownership after he scored a touchdown last week?
Ooh, now that's the sneaky one.
3%. He's not sneaky at all.
What about Gallup?
3,400.
Gallup 7%.
Okay, so I like that quite a bit because we just saw it 2 weeks ago. Joey, you have the right idea for sure, because I have him in the lineup, and I thought about putting him into more. But what was Gallup 2 weeks ago? He had 2 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown. That's what we're looking for. What'd you just say?
He's just probably pissing on himself or something.
But that's what we want, right? Like, he's shown he will do it. He can do it. So,
all right.
Below that, man, that's it really below. Jameson Williams is the last guy I have here in terms of price tag. So that's it.
Okay. Moving on to tight end. Joey, who is your favorite tight end on the slate?
I love Kittle. I love it. If I can get up to him at 6K, Kittle just makes sense. Again, he just falls right into those. Whenever I'm in love with Debo, I'm in love with Kittle. Like you were saying, Jim, it's that short passing game. Like when that's part of the offense, those are the guys. Yep. And on top of that, it's the whole rivalry game thing. I feel like Kittle, when it's a rivalry, like he just steps up to their level, right? He's ready to say, like, pull the shirt up and says, fuck the Cowboys and take a $20,000 fine, right? Like, he's always kind of like just ready for that. So, sign me up for some Kittle. Like, I think he gets a touchdown this week. And I feel like he's been more involved in the offense in general recently.
Just a quick little note. His last 2 games against Seattle, he's gone for 93 yards and 2 touchdowns and 181 and 2 touchdowns. So, Mr. Kittle likes going against Seattle. Just a little caveat there. So that's what we talked about when we were like talking about Ayuk and some of these guys. I'm paying up for a lot of Kittle this week. So, or Thursday. So it's tougher for me to get to like, some St. Brown if I'm going to play McCaffrey or CD. Because I'm going up at tight end. So that's just rolling the dice. So be it.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I'm playing 3 tight ends. It's Kittle, Laporta, and Logan Thomas.
Nice.
Those are the only 3 tight ends that I have. I know he's a stone min, and that's fine, but I want nothing to do with Tucker Kraft.
What?
I
Why?
just, like, who is this guy? Was he holding a tackling dummy last week? Like, I don't. He's probably playing, right? But I just, I have much more interest in Jaden Reed. I have much more interest in Romeo Dobbs. Like, Tucker Kraft. If Tucker Kraft gets there, what's he gonna get? 9 points, 8 points. I don't need to go down to Tucker Kraft. And when he's going to be 35% owned. I mean, on a 3-game slate, that's just an easy fade for me. I'll just go looking elsewhere. Logan Thomas, 12%. Kittle, 18%. Laporta, 14%.
What's Ferguson?
34%.
Man, okay.
Yeah, he's high. Everyone loves him. Everybody
he's
loves
cheap.
him.
It's 3,900.
I get that. But
I get it, yeah.
Schoonmaker had the touchdown last week.
I know.
And
people are gonna be furious tomorrow if that happens.
Well, but that's the thing, Vinny, is that like if you need that savings, I would rather play Schoonmaker at 2,600 at 1% owned than Tucker Kraft. Playing Tucker Kraft for $100 less at 35% owned is not really going to do much for you. Right. Playing Schoonmaker at 2,600, if you want to get there, would be the play. So that's kind of where I'm at with tight end.
Okay. Joe, anyone else?
No, I'm on the same exact page as Jimmy.
Okay.
Eye to eye.
Defense.
I'm playing everyone, but with main favorites. Yeah.
I'm playing 2. I'm playing the Lions and the Niners. It was just a price thing. I wanted to get up to the Cowboys. I don't think the Cowboys are a bad play by any means, right? But I just have the majority of I've got Niners and 60%, and I've got the Lions and 40% of lineups. So
I think that's all right. I mean,
yeah.
I heard it on another show talking about it, and it just makes a lot of sense. Like we've seen just absolute wild variance with defense all year. Yes, I agree with you. Niners, Lions, Cowboys, if you can get there, are the obvious ones. But like, it's not out of this realm that Purdy throws a pick 6 or a pick. Seattle gets in the box. Jared Goff threw 3 picks last week for Chicago. That could very well happen. Dak, we've seen crazy shit happen, right? Like the things could happen. You know what I mean? Like who knows, right?
Hey,
like
I mean,
you can mix
Dak.
match, but
I just want to put it out there into the universe that Dak said he would not throw 10 interceptions this year, and he's at 6 currently. If he throws 5 interceptions tomorrow, I would be so fired up.
But like it could be he could get ahead. They could be up 21-0, and Dak just starts taking some random shots, right? And then they pick one off, And
but again, that's where like if you need the savings, I would much rather play the Commanders at 2,500 than Tucker Kraft at 2,500.
Totally, I 100% agree with that.
So like that's your easy flip if you're looking for that savings to go up at tight end or to go up at wide receiver. Like if you need that savings, that's when you use it. I found that the lineups that I built and the guys that I have in, I was fine. I didn't need to do that, and I would rather play for upside. So that's kind of where my defensive builds led me this week.
I like it.
All right, bold calls for the. It sounds like I know what Vinny's is already.
I think it's George Kittle day, baby. I think George Kittle has a massive day. Yeah.
Okay.
I think we see 100 yards, possibly 2 scores out of Kittle. He's just Mr. Prime Time. He's been on fire lately. I'm riding with our boy.
Okay, Joe.
I think Christian McCaffrey just goes full Christian McCaffrey tomorrow. I think we get 40-plus points. I think his ancestors were pilgrims. I think Thanksgiving is his natural national holiday. And I think he's the one eating the turkey on the 50 after the game tomorrow after he scores 4 tugs. So.
All right. I like the logic. Love the 23andMe plug there.
I don't know what to say, but I don't hate
Can't
it.
argue.
I'm going to tag 23andMe when we promo this.
I really don't know what to say. Well, since Vinny didn't take him, I'm gonna say that Brandon Cooks goes for 25 plus.
Oh, yeah, I should have said.
And he absolutely is the essential piece that you will need on this slate. If this hits, this will be 5 weeks in a row that my bold calls have hit. I called Brandon Ayuk for 30 or more last week, and he hit 30.8. So,
nice.
We know how to pick him. All right, guys.
We hit a lot, by the way.
Like, subscribe, and tune in for the full slate show, which will also be posted tomorrow morning.
We're almost we're climbing subscribers. We need more. Tell your friends.
We need more. Love it. Later.
Late.